You just went back for seconds, maybe thirds. Not because you were still hungry, you just did. Your body sent the stop signal ages ago, but your fork kept moving anyway. Here's the thing. That's not a willpower problem. That's one of the oldest programs running in your brain. It's older than agriculture, older than pottery, older than the wheel. It might be older than humans, period. So the question is, when did we start doing this, and why can't we stop? Let's go back, way back, before humans, before mammals even, in some form. Because gorging isn't a human invention, it's a survival strategy. Watch a wolf take down a carcass. It doesn't nibble politely. It eats until its stomach is basically at capacity, because it has no idea when the next carcass is coming. Could be tomorrow, could be next week. Same story with big cats. Same with vultures, picking a carcass clean in one sitting. Feast or famine isn't a phrase. It's a literal operating system. And it evolved for a simple reason. Animals that gorged when food was around outlived animals that rationed. Now, put early humans into that same math. For most of our history, food wasn't sitting in a fridge. It was a herd that might not come back through the valley for weeks. It was a good berry season that would end. A successful hunt was a jackpot, and jackpots don't last. So the humans who feasted hard when there was plenty and survived the lean stretches after were the ones who passed on their genes. The moderate eaters, less of an edge. Sometimes a fatal one. Think about that. Overeating at a party isn't a modern flaw glitching in your brain. It's an ancient advantage just running in a world that no longer needs it. We actually have physical evidence of this instinct in action, and it's older than you'd think. At Gёbekli-Tepе, a massive stone site in southeastern Turkey dating back over 11,000 years, archaeologists found something strange. Huge piles of animal bones, not just any bones, bones from large, wild game, gathered in quantities way beyond what a small group would need for a normal meal. Researchers studying the site have proposed this wasn't everyday eating. This looks like feasting. Big, organized, communal gorging, possibly tied to gathering people together to build the monuments the site is famous for. That's a full-blown blowout buffet, 11,000 years before buffets existed. And here's the detail that gets me. This predates farming, predates settled villages in the way we usually picture them. People were traveling from far away, killing large amounts of wild animals, and eating enormous amounts of meat in one go. Sound familiar? Replace wild gazelle with chicken wings and stone monument gathering with your cousin's wedding, and you've basically got the same event. But why does this instinct still fire today, when most of us have a grocery store 10 minutes away? This is where it gets interesting, and where it stops being just a history story and becomes a story about your actual biology, right now. In 1962, a geneticist named James Neal proposed an idea that's still influential today, the thrifty gene hypothesis. His theory was this: over tens of thousands of years of feast or famine cycles, humans evolved bodies that are extremely efficient at storing energy when food is abundant. Genes that helped our ancestors pack on fat fast during good times, so they had reserves during bad times, would have been a massive survival edge. The problem is, those genes don't know the famine ended. Your body still runs on ancient math. Food is here. Eat it. Store it. You never know. Except now, food is always here. The famine that used to come right on schedule just doesn't come anymore. Not in the same way for most people reading this. Here's what makes this so important. This isn't a story about one bad habit at one party. This is about a fundamental mismatch between the environment your body evolved for and the environment you're actually living in. Your ancestors' brains built you a very good tool for a world of scarcity. And then, in an evolutionary blink, we built a world of surplus and forgot to update the tool. That mismatch is arguably one of the biggest hidden forces shaping modern health. Okay, so if the feast instinct is ancient, when did we start turning it into an actual event? A ritual? Something with a guest list? Let's talk potlatches. Among indigenous nations of the Pacific Northwest coast, communities with rich traditions stretching back many generations, the potlatch was a large ceremonial feast historically tied to major life events, a marriage, a leadership transition, an important milestone. But a potlatch wasn't just everyone eats. It was built around generosity as status. Hosts would provide enormous quantities of food and gifts, sometimes at real personal cost, because giving abundantly and feeding people abundantly was a direct display of wealth, leadership, and honor. Feed a lot of people well, and your position in the community grows. That idea, food equals power, food equals status, didn't stay in one region. It shows up again and again all over the ancient world, in wildly different cultures that had zero contact with each other. Which tells you something. This isn't one culture's quirk. This is a pattern baked into being human. Now let's jump to a culture famous, maybe a little too famous, for taking feasting to the extreme. Ancient Rome. You've probably heard the story. Wealthy Romans would eat themselves sick at a lavish banquet, walk to a special room called a vomitorium, purge, and go back for more courses. Except that's not actually what a vomitorium was. Here's the problem with that whole story. A vomitorium was an architectural feature. It was a wide passageway in an amphitheater or stadium designed to let huge crowds exit quickly after an event. The name comes from a Latin root meaning to spew forth, as in spewing out a crowd of people, not spewing out dinner. So, no purging rooms. Sorry to anyone who was picturing that. But, and this is the important part, Roman elite banquets were absolutely real and absolutely extravagant. Multi-course feasts, exotic imported foods, meals that could stretch for hours, all as a deliberate performance of wealth and status for guests. Same instinct we saw with the potlatch, just dressed up in togas. Feasting, all through ancient history, keeps doing the same two jobs. It stores energy for lean times ahead, and it signals status, generosity, and power right now. Your body wants one. Your social brain wants the other. And a party gives you both reasons to keep eating at the exact same time. No wonder it's hard to stop at one plate. So, modern science. What's actually happening in your brain at a buffet, biologically? There's a concept called sensory-specific satiety, studied by researchers including nutrition scientist Barbara Rolls. The idea is this: your fullness signal isn't just about total volume of food. It's tied to variety. Eat plate after plate of the same food, and your interest and your appetite for that specific food drops fast. But introduce a new flavor, a new texture, a new dish, and your brain essentially resets the "I'm getting full" clock. That's why you can be stuffed on pasta and somehow still have room for dessert. It's not really room. It's your brain treating dessert as a brand new event. A buffet, or a party spread with 15 different dishes, is basically sensory-specific satiety weaponized. Every new tray resets your appetite a little, which is exactly why buffets feel endless, even when your stomach is objectively not. And parties add another layer on top: social eating. Studies on eating behavior consistently find that people eat more and for longer in group settings than eating alone. Partly pacing off other people. Partly the meal stretching out because, well, you're having a good time. Put all of that together, and a party isn't really one meal. Biologically, it's an ancient feast simulator. Variety triggering your appetite reset. A crowd normalizing bigger portions. Abundance signaling your ancient brain that this is a moment to store up. You're not weak-willed at the dessert table. You're running software that kept your ancestors alive for tens of thousands of years in a setting engineered, completely by accident, to trigger every single one of its old switches at once. So here's the full picture. It starts before humans even existed. Animals gorging because the next meal was never guaranteed. Then early humans feasting hard on rare, valuable food because moderation could get you killed by winter. Then genes shaped by that scarcity still telling your body to store fat thousands of years after the famines they were built for mostly disappeared. Then feasts turning into ritual. Potlatches proving generosity through abundance. Roman elites proving status through spectacle. And now, your body walking into a party, hit with every one of those ancient triggers stacked on top of each other, all at once, over finger food and a cheese board. So next time you're standing at a buffet, quietly negotiating with yourself about a third helping, that's not you failing at self-control. That's tens of thousands of years of survival instinct showing up uninvited to a party that no longer needs it. Being human means carrying a body built for scarcity, dropped into a world of abundance, and still, somehow, going back for more. If you liked digging into where our weirder habits actually come from, there's more of this on the channel. Feel free to stick around.